For years, the conventional intellectual position, as well as the so-called sophisticated position, has been that popular music in this country was declining because things like rhythm and blues and rock and roll and the like were mechanical and decadent and were the kind of things that adults manufactured for the kids, that the kids didn't really have any say in it. What's your view about this? In other words, what is the kind of popular music that moves you, and where does it come from?
That I just like to listen to?
Yeah, listen to, and also increasingly, as you know, in terms of what people call folk rock, the way you're broadening your base is another way.
Whatever this folk rock is, you know, I don't really listen to that much. You know, this is more in terms of sound, which you know, a few years ago, when there wasn't such a big folk rock or whatever have you, when there wasn't really hardly much of anything, when there wasn't people talking about music so much, was just because there wasn't any kind of sound really. But whereas the sound could be, you know, transformed in a lot of things, a lot of ways. You can get sound. You get a sound with words. You know, you get a sound with just plain bare sound.
What about rhythm and blues and rock? Well, rhythm and blues particularly. What do you find in it of value? In other words, it's been put down.
Well, I don't really know authority. You know, I just listen to it. That's about all. I don't listen to hard, straight rhythm and blues in terms of the Del Satins, the Motions, those kind of people that recorded a long time ago. Just a straight four-chord thing. I mean, it's advanced pretty much farther than that now, and it seems kind of old, you know.
Yeah.
Now rhythm and blues would be much more contrived kind of chords and different sounding things.
Pardon me, I still don't think we're getting anything, are we?
Yes, sure.
Yeah?
Want to check it?
Just for...
Okay.
All right. Well, what about the people who still say, you know, that there aren't any good songs anymore, like Cole Porter or Jerome Kern, you know?
Well, they're just looking for that kind of music. They're probably right, you know. If they think, you know, there are no more good songs like the ones Cole Porter wrote and George Gershwin, I guess they are right, you know.
But what is the music that's popular now? And it's increasingly by people who come out of the rhythm and blues scene. What is that music saying to the younger generation? Because I've never seen anything quite like the kind of response there's been.
The music that's being played now?
Yeah. You know,
I really don't know. I really have no idea. I know one thing. You know, everybody around a certain age I'm at now, it's about 24. You know, everybody around 24, 25, 26, 23, no matter what they were doing in the past, you know, years, I mean, I know was turned on to rock and roll a long time ago, you know. I mean, it's just something everybody's tried to hide for a long time, you know.
What was there in the rock and roll that really moved people your age?
Well, it was just you know, rock and roll, country and western music, which is just a total kind of feeling, which is not the same as you know, watching TV or being taught anything in school or being, you know, just a total other kind of form of sound and which puts your head in a different place. You know, the reason it died out is because it was, you know, it got saturated and it got, you know, drawn to a degree. There was no way to make it in it anymore. Like you had to have friends to play with, you know. You had to have money to buy electricity. You had to, you know, you had to keep a band, which costs money, and that's all very hard.
While it was going, you think it's accurate to say that that kind of music also had more emotion, more direct feeling than most of what else was around?
Oh, sure, it still does, you know. You know, it still does. You just can't take that away from it. you know, that's why most people, you can just about pinpoint the people that don't like it. You can just about usually walk on the street and see people and know who wouldn't like it. I mean, they wouldn't like that. They wouldn't like the people that play it, probably, you know. It's got to do with more than just, it's got to do with a lot of things, really, which overlap.
You say you can pinpoint the people who don't like it, like how? You mean the way they walk, the way they hold themselves?
Oh, sure, the way they light a cigarette, you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, what they like.
You mean inhibited?
Inhibited, really, it's just a whole other thing. Something which I don't think is ever going to be brought across to anybody. I mean, because deep down, you know, most people do like it. I mean, they have to like it. A lot of people are, you know, it just represents something a lot of people don't want to even think about, probably. That's why they raise such a commotion. But when you think about it, really, it comes down to it. Everybody's just putting themselves on, really, because if they didn't like it, you know, the people that they have to let their kids do something. We're speaking now of people that go to school and high school and buy all the records.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have to let them do something because, you know, they really don't really give them too much of anything else. So let them buy records. You know, they don't really know what they're listening to, but now I guess they're finding out what they're listening to. You know, they could easily distinguish the whole thing by just cutting with their allowances, and there would be no more records.
When you say they don't give them much of anything else, you mean much of a feeling of, what do you call it, interpersonal?
Well, I mean, who treats their kids like they treat their friends, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that says it. Who are some of the people in the country and western, the rhythm and blues field? I don't mean influences now, but people that you just enjoy listening to, especially.
Well, I don't like to listen to too much country and western people. I like to listen to some of their songs.
Yeah.
That's a thing, but I get real monotonized by listening to too many. I like Buck Owens, so he's all right, and Hank Williams, George Jones. They're all the time. Usually, you can they make some sort of sound.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But the other people are just songs they sing, I think.
How about in the rhythm and blues and rock and roll fields? Whom do you especially, you know, who strikes you especially?
Oh, I mean, just name a name?
Just, you know, if you're almost like free association, if you're thinking in terms of just pleasure in listening, who would you think of?
Well, I listen to all the Motown records.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to Wilson Pickett. Otis Redding, I guess, Charlie Rich.
Yeah. How about Chuck Berry, who seems to be rediscovered by a lot of people?
Well, he's okay. I like Chuck Berry.
This goes back to something you started to say before, and it's about the generational gap. I've seen it among some of the kids who work in SNCC and the Students for Democratic Society, you know, where you can't trust anybody over 30.
Well, that's not really true. That's just a fallacy. I think that's the right word. Fallacy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's ridiculous.
How much of that gap, though, does exist? This feeling that the older generation just isn't with
I don't
it?
know many of those people. I never really have. That was just a thing from the newspapers. The newspapers seemed to say that nobody likes anybody over 30, and the people that read it believed it, but I don't know if that's true. We never sit around and talk about anybody over 30, because, you know, I'm almost 30 myself.
So you wouldn't go with the thesis that all adults are almost square by definition because they are over a certain age?
No, I wouldn't. I don't. It doesn't matter. I have no prejudices on age.
Yeah. Communication depends on two people, right? Essentially.
Well, if there's such a thing as communication.
Yeah. You were saying you're almost, you're about 6 years from 30. Are you at all concerned about somehow not becoming insulated, rather? Being not as open as you are now? You know?
No, I have no fears about that. Everything will still be the same. It's too late to change anything like that. I'm certainly not going to cop out, though, and become any kind of, school teacher out in Vermont, living in an old cottage, teaching English once a week, reading poetry to, the girls or something. I'm not going to do anything like that.
Yeah. So far as you look ahead, if you do you intend to pretty much stay in what you're doing now?
Yeah, I'll be taken to some other degrees, making a movie sometime. I'll do that. I have a book coming out, but it's just, I mean, it's very average to me, you know. I can't really be excited about it. I've worked on it kind of hard at certain times, but now it's all done, and now it means very little.
Is that the one that Macmillan's putting out?
Yeah.
Was it about Los Angeles, or?
No, it's not about anything. It's just a book of words.
What's the movie going to be like?
Well, the movie will be like a song, really. It's not gonna. There won't be any kind of. Well, this is the first movie here, and we have to set an example for the rest of the movies. This is gonna be like a song. It's gonna be a straight movie, and maybe a horror movie or something.
Yeah.
Something very natural.
Are you going to write it?
I'll write some of it, yeah.
And who's going to produce it or put it together?
That's not decided yet.
Yeah. Once when we were talking, you were saying that you have no particular feeling of support for groups like the NAACP because they're too middle class, too slow. What civil rights groups are you that interested in?
I'm not really interested in any of them, to tell you the truth. I used to know some of the people in SNCC when it's about 1960, you know, and I've lost all contact. Evidently there was something wrong someplace, or else, you know, I would have been a president of SNCC right now. But I don't know. I can't go along with all this. I mean, it's just laughing matter. Anybody that's you know, I mean, a lot of people take all that very seriously, like LeRoy Jones and all this kind of stuff. But it's sort of just kind of funny if you got to think about it, because even LeRoy Jones is going to die, you know. I mean, whoever LeRoy Jones is, I just saw him on television.
Oh, yeah. So your feeling is that these social movements or whatever tend to get kind of exaggerated in importance?
Well, not exaggerated importance. Of course, people are starving, you know. People are a lot of people are in bad trouble. But it is either you make your choice, you know, and you go through with it, or you don't fuck around, you know, in other people's lives. You know, I got my own life, that, you know, and I tried my best to handle that, you know. To try to handle somebody else's life, you really have to, you know, be a very powerful person, you know.
Yeah.
You have to sort of you got a lot of responsibility on your hands, and the more people's lives you're responsible for, you know, the bigger the weight is. Look at President Johnson. Look at him. He doesn't seem like a very normal fellow to me. You know, you can understand why, really.
Not very normal in what ways?
Well, you take a look at him. I mean, you can just see a picture of him. You can see that he's a little worried about something.
Yeah. What about, well, like Joan, for example, has for a long time been involved in things like Vietnam and peace demonstrations and the like. Do you have any particular interest in that?
Well, you know, it might sound very funny, but, you know, like, I can only talk about it in terms of me, you know.
Sure.
It's like if somebody told me right now, you're gonna have to die in an hour, you know, there would really be nothing I have to clean up, you know, no unfinished business, no, you know, I could very easily accept it. I mean, and that would be the way it's gonna be. You know, like, it's, I don't really know, you know, like, on who is going to be better for all the, I mean, I don't know how long these people want to live, you know. I don't know, you know, if they're looking for eternity, looking to be moralized, or, you know, whatever have you, why they do these things.
You mean the people who get involved in the peace things, you mean?
Well, no, not this especially. I'm talking about, I'm talking about people that aren't really completely straight. You know, people who are afraid of something but act as if maybe they're not. And You know, I think that's fine. You know, those are peace demonstrations and all this kind of thing. You know, it's just a little more complicated in my mind. I know where it is in a feeling, but or to put that feeling into words, I really can't do it too good. And if I even attempted, I know it wouldn't come out the right way. And and then all in all, I know even if I did, it wouldn't matter anyway to anybody. You know, so it. I mean, I think what Joan Baez is doing is just marvelous. But
it's not your way.
It's just. I mean, I think that's just wonderful. But you know, if she ever needed my help for anything, you know, God willing, I wish she'd come and ask. But
you're not going to go out looking for demonstrations or things like that.
No, I've done most of that. You know, I went through that too, and you know, it definitely has to be done.
Yeah.
But you know, everybody talks about. You know, I mean, just the names that strike familiar chords, you know, like Jesus Christ. You know, like, look how good he did, you can say. But, you know, what good where, you know, for who, you know, how, when, you know, and look what they did to him. And everybody's talking about him, you know, but how does anybody know the way he really felt, you know? It certainly has been such a long time ago that I think it's just about impossible to even find out anything about him. It's just been so, you know, people have written so much that, I don't know, you just have to believe, you know?
Yeah.
And that's dangerous business there, just believing, because you're sacrificing a whole lot.
So that for you, the thing is to live your own life as best you can and stay as straight as you can.
Yeah, stay, you know, just, I guess so. I mean, in terms of those words, you know, the best words. But it's like one time I wanted to write a novel, you know. And so I spent a lot of time. You know, I spent about 6 months off and on trying to put this novel together. But I knew, you know. And finally one day I come to a conclusion, like, okay, you know, so I got this novel put together. You know, like, is this going to be? You know, the novel, the statement, you know, is this my message, my thing, and no matter how many, I had about 1,000, you know, not 1,000, about 500 pages of it. I said, no, you know, of course not, you know, it's bullshit, you know, this is nothing. If I finish this novel, I'm just going to have to write another one. If I finish this novel, it's not going to come out until at least 1.5 years to 2 years before, you know, now. It's going to be a completely different thing by the time it does come out. And by the time it does come out, everybody's going to say how great it is, or else they're going to put it down. Meantime, I'm not even going to be there anymore. And it won't even be me that wrote that novel. And from there, I don't have to live up to that novel. You know, and I'll have to be writing another novel. People are going to ask me what I'm doing. I'm going to have to say I'm writing another novel. You know, it's like, it just and when you even get it done, all it does is it helps you to get to parties, you go to more parties, and, you know, you can sign autographs and give away 3 copies of the book, and, you know, you can have a ball for a couple of weeks. But I went through all that with records, you know, and things, and it's not the same thing. Every time I write a song, it's like writing a novel. It just takes me a lot less time, you know, and I can get it down, you know, to where, you know, I can reread it in my head a lot. And believe me, you know, like, they're not, the songs that I've written are just not, you know, that's what they are to me, because, you know, it's, but I can't stand on any of them, you know. I mean, look, they're just songs.
You don't feel then as if you have to compete with yourself every time you write another one?
No, I don't. I somewhat do, in a very funny way, but I don't really, once I can get in the movement of what I want to do with the music, it comes very natural, but it's not really a competition thing.
Going back for a minute to the opposite of Joan, a lot of the things you hear now from, let's say, from the American Legion to Johnson is, how come these kids don't realize that they'd be, how does it go, Are they saying they'd rather be red than dead? Or you know how that whole thing goes? How do you feel about that kind of slogan?
Rather be red than dead?
Yeah. In other words, you got to fight this so-called...
I don't really go for slogans in any kind of way, but, I mean, I'm sure it's a slogan there. I'm sure there's another slogan that says I'd rather be dead than red, which I wouldn't go for that slogan either, Slogans are just, misusage of time, really. It's, there's nobody who's going to help out the world any. There just is nobody. I mean, you just take a look out on the street and things change. You can open up that curtain, so the room will be different. It's there's too many people, that have things to do.
Are you ever bothered by things like the Dominican Republic and Vietnam, in the sense that the whole thing may yet blow up?
Yeah, well, I'm sure it might, but it's going to happen probably, and when it happens, the most I can say is that it wasn't me. But that's, that's about all. I mean, I certainly don't want to be walking around with any kind of nuclear thing on me, any kind of my groin now, 6 inches, and my elbow, magnetized 1,000 times, and 6 legs and anything like that. And I don't want to be caught in that position. I would have to get somebody to. I'd have to have a good friend along, get me on that. But I don't know.
Let me try fantasy for a minute. Suppose you were somehow in a position like Johnson's, and you had a deal with, let's say, the Chinese communists. What would you do?
Well, first of all, I never talk in terms of if.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll answer your question just for the sake of fantasy.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna think that First of all, if I was President Johnson right now?
Let's say if you were president.
If I was president?
Yeah.
Well, let's see, if I was president, first thing I'd do, I'd have all my friends in the White House right away. I'd completely revise the whole White House, and everybody that works there would just look a whole other way. Everybody would have to wear high-collared shirts. They would have to be a section where everybody wore flowers on their tie, and there'd be a whole different set of heroes right away.
Like who?
Well, like I think instead of talking with Martin Luther King about anything, I would have to talk to Roebuck Staples. He would be the spokesman for the, for that, and I would have the whole place just redecorated completely with swings and teeter-totters.
Yeah.
And for the first week, we just have a party to get straight, and then I'd probably send for Mao, tell him to come out and see what we were like.
What else would you do like in foreign policy?
Foreign policy?
Mm-hmm. Well, you figured then if he saw what we were like, then things could be a little less dissonant.
Well, I don't know. I don't even know what he's like to begin with. I would. Well, you see those pictures of all those guys, and all the chicks, and carrying guns, and I know that he probably has. I know he likes his women to be tough, He would probably come over here and be flabbergasted, have to have some tough women waiting for him, in the lobbies. I'd fix it up nice for him, if he came over, no doubt about that.
What did you think of the free speech movement and all that at the University of California, and the way that sort of thing is spreading to a lot of other colleges? Is that a good sign, or does it mean anything?
Well, it's college, that's nice, that really is very nice, and that they do that at college. But it's what exactly does it do though, for other people that don't go to college?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's tremendous that they would have enough courage to do what they did. But you know, I don't really know too much about it. I have all those things that they're. I can't possibly imagine anybody, you know, wanting what they were wanting. That's all.
What do you mean?
Well, I guess they were wanting to picket or wanting to have free speech.
Yeah.
Well, I have free speech. You know, I don't have those problems that they have. You know, like I don't really have to put up with any teachers. You know, or I don't have to have any degree. I don't have to take any tests. I don't have to sort any kind of philosophies out of my mind. I don't have to memorize anything. You know, I don't have to you know, look like the next person. I don't have to you know, I just don't have these problems. I don't have.
You don't have to join a free speech movement.
Well, I don't really have anybody that's supporting me. You know, so I don't have to rebel against this. You know.
Do you ever have any, not regrets, but let's say curiosity about college, about going yourself?
That'd be silly, wouldn't it? I have no regrets about it. I played it some, you know, but I didn't really get out to see too much. And you know, you know, it's a nice place to be. Their colleges are really nice. You know, they're certainly a lot quieter than the city. The ones out in the country are fantastic. You know, it's like, you know, like old age homes. You know? They're nice. I would like to go to one, you know, just to relax once in a while. But you know, just to sit on the banks of some river. Most of them are on the rivers, and you know, just do that. But I can't imagine going to any classes or reading any books that they would give me. I imagine I'd strike up a few friendships with some of the people around, but that's, you know.
You just pick up on what interests you in terms of books or anything else, I take it.
Yeah, I do. I don't really read that much, and when I do read anything, it must be small. But you know, I go see movies once in a while, I guess, stuff like that.
I remember you're reluctant to give advice to anybody else, but do you think some of the people either in college or about to go might think a while about whether they ought to go? You know, looking at yourself, for example, not as a model, but as a...
Things were different, you know, when I didn't go to college, you know. Things really were much different than they are now. You know, like, then there was a group of people sort of, you know, that were just bumming around the country, you know. And I was one of them, you know. But things seem to be different than they are now. Like, I can't imagine, you know, bumming around the country now with any of these people that are bumming around the country now, you know.
What's
like,
the difference?
Well, see, and back then, to make it, you know, was just out of the question, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was more or less a thing of, you know, from here to there, and that's what it was. It was groovy, you know. And it seemed that a lot of the people were groovy then. But now you can still see people that are still doing it, and they're just totally whacked out. You know, like, they're still there, they're doing it, but they're all twisted up, and they don't want to get the feeling they don't want to do it anymore. And even the, well, you know, you can take that whole, you know, the Beat Generation thing. I just read a little bit of that kind of stuff, but you know, like what stuff really was there, except for Allen Ginsberg, you know, or you know, these guys. But you know, I can even think of. I can't really think of any of those other people that did their thing. I mean,
the ones who are doing it now don't seem to get any kick.
Well, it is a kick, you know. Like you do things for a kick, you know. That's why you really do things. You do things for a kick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't want to do anything you don't want to do, you know. The hang-up comes in is when most people they get involved in something, they get attached, you know, and then sooner or later they come to the conclusion that they're not getting any kicks anymore, and they see other people getting kicks, that's fine, you know, like that, I guess it happens. But the problem comes in is when you want to stop other people from getting kicks.
Yeah.
You know, just because, you know, it hangs you up. You know, like it drives you farther into suicide. You know, but I can, you know, I don't get too many kicks anymore nowadays. You know, once in a while I do, but I certainly don't want to stop anybody else from getting them.
Just a second.
It's funny to hear these people talking the next thing's gonna be country rock. You know,
Yeah.
country rock, you know, was Elvis Presley. Hard Elvis Presley. You know, I mean, how can we say the next big thing's gonna be country rock?
Yeah.
It wasn't Elvis Presley's first records. I mean, if you have a better name for him, you know, there isn't a better name. All this has been done before. It's just you know, it's like another time going over, only with different times.
Yeah. Did you like those first Presley records when they came out?
Sure, everybody liked those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't like them anymore after Teddy Bear and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I got all his early records. All of them.
You were saying that you don't get as many kicks now as you used to. Why is that? Do you figure the fame? Or
Well, the kicks, you know, like I've done everything that I really want to do. You know, like now, I mean, it's like I don't get any kick. You know, like the first time, say I was in Rome, I saw, you know, I was standing there digging the, you know, that, what do you call that, big stadium? Coliseum. Yeah, that was a kick, you know, just being, just the whole thing, you know, the whole feeling of being around there and whatever happened, whatever else happened. The second time I was there, you know, like it just distracted me, you know, like this Coliseum, how beautiful it was distracting, you know. And then something else, you know, Portugal, man, all this beauty was just very distracting, you know, just, it's
do you ever get tired of Big Sur? Do you find that
I
distracting?
never spent that much time out there, but I do find it a little distracting, yes.
Yeah. Well, you're saying you've done just about everything you wanted to, and yet you're 24. What do you got to look forward to?
Well, I don't know. I have to think about it. I might start me a bubblegum factory or something. With different kinds of cartoons inside.
Yeah. So you haven't lost the expectation that there may be more kicks ahead.
Oh no, nothing like that. Well, it's like it's like, you know, it's not like I can go any place now. You know, and something was usually bound to happen. You know, you take your chances. You know, but now I can't really go any place. You know, and even now when I go any place, it's not where, you know, it's more of a chance anything's going to happen because it's a little different. Now it's sort of like strike and split, you know. It's a whole different thing. I know and I can see through most of the people, you know, that you know, and it's just it's not any fun, you know, and like it's more fun just stopping at a red light and watching the people walk by. You know, that's really a lot of fun.
In the sense that what? But
well, like
they
it's
don't
like,
see you.
it's like when you say kick, you know, like I would think in terms of kicks, you know, just getting on a Greyhound bus for 3 days, you know, but you know, and going someplace.
Can you do that?
I can't do that anymore. You know, it's have to, you know, get the Greyhound bus to come to me, you know, and I have to hire the bus, you know, and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. But I mean, it's not really. I'm not complaining or down about it. It's just a thing. That's all. It's got to happen to somebody, I guess.
Yeah. We were talking about college, and I wonder, this isn't quite fantasy, because, well, suppose not that you were in charge of a school, but if somebody were to ask you, what should a school be and do so that kids don't get all tied up and uptight the way they often do?
It shouldn't really be that way. Like school, you know, someone wants to be a doctor, you know, they got to go to school, you know. I mean, obviously they got to go to school, and they got to learn how to do all these things to be a doctor. But I wouldn't send anybody I know to tell them to go to school, man, unless they wanted to be a doctor. I mean, I don't care what they want to be, but they want to be a doctor, they want to be something like that, you know, lawyer, or, you know, something like, you know, something really hard, you know. They tell them to go, you know, do it, you know. But if you're going to do it, you know, do it. But the other thing, just going to school and reading and writing and taking tests, I guess, you know, and learning, you know, why things happen is just ridiculous in face of things that are going to happen, whether, you know, you know why they happen or not.
So what should you be doing during those years if you're not going to be a doctor or something, specialized?
Well, you should be. It's not what you should be doing. It's you can do anything you want to do. You can hang out in Mexico for 4 years, and it's. You should know about a lot of things, which you don't know, which people keep you away from until you get to be a certain age.
Like, for example?
Like, for example, everything. Just about anything you can imagine. It's not going to. Too many things are looked at as if they're going to kill you. So many habits and things. They're not going to kill you at all. They might shake you up, but it's not going to kill you.
Like sex or pot or
like anything, absolutely anything. Doing a handstand. I don't know. It's when you come to think of it. When a person even goes to college. I remember I got out of high school. Well, I didn't think about them, but I think about it now. Like, what did I really know when I got out of high school? And what did the school teach me?
Yeah.
And I can truthfully say that, I haven't used any of that stuff, which I've learned in 12 years, except, adding, maybe, and reading, and writing. And how to, and that's all, though. The rest of it just seems to be a thing to take up your time, which, has got to be. It can't be another way. Who's going to come around and say, okay, we're going to put a course that's going to be much harder now, and everybody's going to graduate by the time they're 9, and then they'll be ready to go to college, which could easily be done, because all you have to do is teach somebody how to read and write. Maybe put them in college, teach them a little math, and that's really all you have to teach them, really.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares who the first president of the United States was? Who cares where Africa is in terms of...
You can always look it up.
Right. You can carry a encyclopedia around. But, I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody that I knew. I would make... most people can't really afford to have their kids be total outcasts, so they wouldn't do that. Most people, I guess, would want their kids to be, with other kids and normal and having a good time and birthday parties and stuff like that. Well, that's all fine, too.
How would you raise your kid?
How would I?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I certainly, wouldn't hide anything from him or anything like that. A kid would, couldn't open his eyes anyway, until about 5 years old or 5, 6 years old. I wouldn't imagine I'd even be around by that time, so I wouldn't have that problem.
Why do you think you won't be around by that time?
Well, I just think it could happen,
Yeah.
I'm not counting on being around, I'm not counting on being not around, but...
You just don't look ahead that far anyway.
I can't look ahead that far,
This is interesting. You got out of that lockstep, the whole education, career thing. And as a result, you're a lot freer in many ways than a lot of people. What was it in your background and how you grew up that let you do that? Because you started, I guess, like everybody.
Well, where I come from is different than around here. You can do just about anything you want. It's more or less there's no distinguishing. There's no lines of poverty, that kind of stuff. Everybody's more or less the same. All the towns are, it's just a whole other thing, it's not, you don't really have that much,
Nobody had that much.
No.
But still, most of the kids you were growing up with, I'm sure went...
Well, sure. I don't know. I have no idea. My uncle is a professional gambler. I've seen him once in a while. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. I don't know really what it was. I'm, there were a lot of people. I'm not the only one that left there, traveling around like me. There's people everybody left there. I don't know really if anybody that stayed there. There's nothing really there. Everybody my age I know left. I don't know where they are. Once in a while I hear from people, but I don't. I know that there's nobody stayed there to,
So in a sense, there was an advantage in the way it was because it sort of got you to leave.
From my very first time of consciousness, I know I wanted to get out of there. It's really, everybody did.
Well, you first hit the road when you were quite young. Was it about 12?
Well, that's just running away, but that's just a thing because it doesn't mean too much here because it's not like hitting the road from New York for the West Coast or anything like that. The towns are only 10 miles apart, there's thousands of them, so you can't really get too lost. It's just thing, you know, it's running away. Everybody runs away from.
But then, as I remember, you went farther distances a little
Yeah,
later on.
but everybody else did it. It wasn't my own idea. It was
Yeah.
a common thing to do. I think everybody ran away at least once or twice in their lifetimes. You know, it's. I mean, I remember that very distinctly. Everybody did it. You know?
Was there anything that you learned just in the process of doing that, about, you know, not only the traveling, but in doing it and having the courage to do it? That
It didn't really take much courage. It just took, you know, feeling, you know, like, let's get some kicks, you know. That's about all it was. You know, you could actually hop trains where I come from. They weren't freight trains, boxcars, or trains. But you could actually hop them and go for a ride, you know. And we've done that.
So it was a kind of a mobile existence to start with.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you know where part of the country it is, there's nothing there. You know, I mean, it's not such a great thing. It really isn't. I mean, if I was here in New York City, I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably would have turned out completely different. It's
Gone to Bronx High School to science?
Sure, you know, I would have probably been a lawyer by now if I would have stuck to. If I would have been more lucky to be born here. But really, you know, it's nothing special.
You once said that you didn't want to work too often. You'd rather have most of your life and time to yourself. It seemed in the last year, haven't the tours been increasing? And that kind of thing?
Yeah, they have. I'm working now a lot because I dig it now more. So it's a different thing now. I was gonna quit when I was playing all by myself. I was gonna play. I was very mixed up on how long I was gonna really do it. To play by myself. It's another thing altogether. I would never want to do it again. It really is a whole other thing. See, what it comes down to is that I've written a lot of long songs, you know, and the thing about writing them and recording them, that's one thing, but to get up on the stage and sing them night after night, it gets a little hard because you're not really there in your right mind, you know, half the time. And to get up there and sing all these songs, which...
what do you mean by not being in your right mind?
Well, just being in a mind that's, if we can put it this way, like people come to the concert, they're all ready to see the concert, but like you're not really ready to see them.
Yeah, I do.
You know, it's, you know, you can translate that in terms of, you know, somebody coming over ringing your doorbell you don't want to see, right? Like it just happens this night that 3,000 people ringing your doorbell. You know?
So you travel with a group now all the time?
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Well, they're called Levon and the Hawks.
How do you spell the Levon?
Levon.
Yeah.
Levon, he's from Arkansas. He's a drummer. And he's Robbie. Robbie's the lead guitar player. I've known Robbie for some time. And what that comes down to is just that, you know, you can't really get people to play with unless you can pay them.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to cheat anybody and don't promise them anything. Now it doesn't cost anybody anything. I mean, it'd be foolish not to, you know, pay them, not to play with them. And, you know, it's,
so that's one of the reasons you're working more, huh?
Yeah, it is. Also, I know what's happening is not totally. It is. See, before I used to go to concerts. I used to play these concerts. I used to say, well, would I come to see me tonight? And I used to have to be very truthful and say, no, I wouldn't come. I'd rather do something else. I really would. But that was just me, you know.
Now the way.
So now I would think, well, would I want to come to hear this tonight? And I gotta say I would.
I mean, having them with you increases your own enjoyment in performing.
Well, no, not really. It's another thing too. You know, the songs are all, they don't have any influences, you see. I mean, I know this to be true. These songs, most of them, and you know, all of them really, like on the stage now, what they are in being, like, it's not influenced, you know, by, it's not a trying to be something else kind of thing, you know, whereas a lot of stuff is, like, you can listen to a lot of records and things, or go see a lot of shows, and it wouldn't really matter who was doing it, you know.
Yeah.
It would, you know, you could easily find the same thing down a block, which is all right, you know. That's I'm putting down stuff, you know, anything, because it's all very good. But I know what we're doing is different. I don't know what exactly it is that we're doing. I know it's different though. It's not folk rock or this kind of thing. It's, if you want to define it as that, that's all right too. It doesn't matter, but I've listened to it and I actually dig it. You know.
Where would you say, aside, not talking influences, but what are some of its roots, like Negro blues and country music? And
Well, the roots are a little bit hard to define in that. It's not. It's everything really. You know, it's just a. I don't know. I can easily look at the others. A lot of first songs were like, "Hey, Woody Guthrie, I wrote you a song." Was definitely influenced by Woody Guthrie.
yeah.
You know, Highway 51 on our first record was definitely influenced by Everly Brothers and you know, Charlie Pickett. On the second record, you can still see the influences. You know, stuff like that. Like the first record, there was Muddy Waters influence on it.
But now, now there aren't any influences really. Huh?
No, the influences are sort of mashed up, you know, like the influence isn't in its given form anymore. The influence is, I know it all now. I've known it for quite a while, you know, I know it all. I don't really play too much, you know. It's just a thing now. It's, I know how to do it now. You know, I know the music, I know, I don't have to think in terms of what kind of tune I want these words to, you know. It's more or less of a, I don't have to hold anything back now. Before I used to have to hold things back. I had to hold melodic things back. I snuck them through, but that's when many people really realized it. You know, I snuck them through on my second record. I snuck with very pretty melodies in.